What up, what up? This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris, here with my man,
DJ Mykael V.
And both of our teams are in the playoffs right now, so we on one.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
the Knicks.
The Hawks play tonight, right? Or no, Sunday?
No, they play tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, my boy's coming over to the crib to, check it out. You know what I'm saying? So check us out and try to win the game against Boston, who's probably going to beat us. But it's all
good, bro.
Y'all, what's y'all record? Are y'all 1-1 right now?
Yeah. So tonight is the third game. So
y'all playing Cleveland?
Yeah.
Oh, y'all gonna win that series, bro.
We gonna see. I never want to get too confident.
Nah, y'all gonna win it, bro. Honestly, Cleveland ain't got no backbone.
We gonna see.
They just Donovan.
It's just you never know, bro. You never know. I don't want to get my hopes up, and I don't want to get my hopes down. So let's see.
I think the fact that the Knicks are even in it, they've been solid these past few years, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see my boy Trey do something. By the time this airs, I
think he's gonna leave, bro.
I believe that hopefully we still be in this thing. So
I think he's gonna leave.
So too.
Yeah.
I think there's relational. Some people, and I don't want to get too much of a rabbit hole or tangent, but some people are just not great team players.
Yeah.
Like they just not. They got all the talent and they just can't work well with other people.
I'm gonna end this conversation by saying this. When he became the center of attention for like the New York Knicks versus the Hawks thing, and they beat us,
right? And
they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that got to his head, and he's like, "I'm him."
Speaking of I'm him, we were just talking on break earlier about how I hate that that content, like that slang about I'm him. Maybe because I'm such an old school, maybe a seemingly old school Bible nerd. I feel like when people say I'm him, I just in my head I see capital HIM.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you're not God.
You are not him.
So if I hear that in a Christian rap song, Christian hip hop song,
I'm him.
Oh no, if I hear any bars playing off the I'm him, I'm still gonna come for you.
Timothy Chalamet.
Oh my God.
Him Allen. Christopher Nolan.
Speaking of content, man, I feel like we're in an interesting space, man. Like, what people have been saying. I know earlier we were trying to rap some CHH bars, which I'm not gonna do live because I don't want y'all to make fun of me.
I don't want to embarrass y'all,
I don't want to embarrass myself. Yo, you can definitely bust one if you want.
Oh man, I know a couple Andy joints.
Hey, put them on. What's the content? What's that content talking about?
What's that joint from Heroes for Sale? Like a tube in a car. Just like your words hit my heart.
Okay, Mykael V.
And I forgot. Yeah. What's so minor to you? What's so major to me?
That's a great line. That's great songwriting. So speaking of great songwriting, man, I was thinking about someone who made a comment about a song I think was really great, which is Lecrae's Blessings. We talked about this before, and I'm only bringing this up because it was made public. And shout out to Caleb Gordon, who I've actually talked to on the phone the other day. Good dude. I mean, dude is definitely killing it. Great marketer. He had made like a sentiment in the past about, the song Blessings by Lecrae, whether it not being a Christian song. And I think he later apologized for it. Just a little bit of miscommunication or whatever.
Yeah,
good dude. That's not the point of this conversation. But I wanted to think about like what would prompt someone to think like that song, which has great songwriting, great messaging, Christian themed, isn't a Christian song. It got me thinking. I was talking to Ben Washer about this earlier. Like, what has been like the content in Christian rap, past, present, and future? Like, what was the early messaging like? And then was that like a good thing, a bad thing, and where are we at now? Like, what can you remember about like the early like Christian rap? We can even go back to cross moving days if you got.
So I actually did not come up during cross moving days. I came up during like Gravity. Yeah, like that was my introduction.
And what was the content? What was the messaging like?
I think it was very overly nuanced Christian. Like it was very explicitly Christian, but also nuanced. So there was some topic.
Can you expound? I want to hear what you mean by that. Like,
yeah, like there was also some topics that are like, obviously you can talk about whatever you want in a Christian song as long as you lead people to
not everything though.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like not everything, but most stuff I was like, oh, okay, like this is lit. Like it was very Christian, you know what I'm saying? Especially like, at like Andy Mineo's early stuff, like Formerly Known.
Oh, that tape was hard, bro.
It's
that
classic.
boom bap joint in there,
classic,
amazing.
Ink so fresh I could smear it. Just sign my name, I already feel it.
Great music,
the GOAT. Eshawn Burgundy has one of my favorite verses on that whole project.
Shout out Eshawn.
Yeah, I think it was very overly Christian. I think, and as the artists got older and more mature, so did their content and so did the way that they did their art.
Right.
Which I don't think is a bad thing.
Right.
I think that progress is good. Because what I mean by that is you don't see people in hip hop talking about the same things as they used to in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? If things progress, you know what I'm saying? Some people would say it went from drug dealing music to drug using music.
Definitely. Oh, even before the drug dealing music, shoot, the early hip hop in the 80s was like drug awareness music.
Yeah, things changed.
Not the Grandmaster Flash. I think it's Grandmaster Flash. Yeah, he was like telling people to like put down drugs or stop using.
Yeah.
So we went from stop using drugs to bragging about selling them.
Yeah.
Now you bragging about using them.
Yeah, it's changing. I think that there's a natural trajectory and things come back around. I look at music like fashion. I think things come and go. You know what I'm saying? And it's like people that want to harp on make Christian music Christian again or whatever, or make it explicitly Christian. I'm just like, yo, like if you want to do that music, you can do that music. If somebody else wants to do Christian music and they're more nuanced and they tackle bigger topics and do it in a more creative way than you, than being as explicit, let them do that. I think the genre in itself is small, but within this microcosm of a subgenre, it's big enough to where y'all can do what y'all want. Like stylistically. Right. If you want to be super Christian and you want to be explicitly, you can do that.
Right.
Like if you want to do this, you could do that. Because that was the beef back in the day between Tunnel Rats and Cross Movement. Cross Movement was super evangelical, very like, I'm trying to convert you through my music. And then Tunnel Rats was like, nah, we Christians and we just make dope music.
Talk a little bit more for people who don't know, because I want to kind of go down memory lane, because I ain't gonna lie, I didn't really get into Tunnel Rats till like hearing about it later. Yeah. But I was on that Cross Movement vibe with my cousin who gave me the music. What about the songs? I know you gave a little bit, like, how different was it? Like, was it like, I mean, were they like spitting Bible verses on raps or like
that's what I thought Cross Movement did. They was very much like theologically, like, think of like Beautiful Eulogy and all them like that. That's how I see Cross Movement.
I guess I am familiar with that. But what about the Tunnel Rats? Like, what? Help educate me.
I think it was I don't know too much, but I know it was more. Right? It was more lax. It was more like. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna preach the gospel, but we're gonna do it in a more like creative, more nuanced way, like prop and all that. And that's what they did, because that, like I said, that was the beef in the joint. It was like Cross Movement was like, y'all are not Christian enough. Like we know y'all Christian, but y'all not giving people the.
You ain't got the Bible blicky.
Yeah, the stupid.
It's not pointed. Yo, you have the Bible blicky, but it's not cocked.
Y'all let me get a Bible with a scope on it. That's funny. But nah, it was weird, bro. I mean, when it comes to content, I think it's just with the times and things progress and things like circle back around. Like,
it's interesting because, like, okay, when I first got into like Christian rap, this was like when I was in high school, when my cousin, who was our youth leader at the church I grew up to, was trying to put us. She basically like was putting us on all the game. We was going to the youth conferences. We was kind of getting converted, but it would last for like 2 months. Then we go back and bump our Wu-Tang tapes. You know what I'm saying? And I first heard Cross Movement, and they had a line where it was like, yo, this, if it's not Christ, it's not spiritual. It's just a bunch of spare rituals. And they was really explicitly
they could rap
out the Bible. It was dope. The beats was hard. It was like that East Coast vibe. And I resonated with it for the because it was like, yo, this is Christian rap. Yeah. Now, at the same time, I actually still want to listen to the other music because I just...
Yeah, you want to know. You want to know.
I mean, I don't think my heart was fully transformed the way it is now. And not that your heart being transformed is based on you listening to only Christian rap. That's not what I'm saying, y'all. Please don't crucify me. But, I mean, at the time, I feel like they're coming for your boy. Nah. But I do feel like the early pioneers of the Cross Movement, even like early Reach, the messaging was like, I mean, think about the whole ethos of like unashamed of the gospel. Like, it was like loud, bold, explicit, clear, and it helped a lot of people find the Lord. Yeah. And I think that things did shift, but that's kind of how it started. And I wonder if like the people that was there early, right? And you know, those people stay in the comments. Yeah, no, I think this conversation is kind of tired if we're being honest. Yeah, but I just wanted to like take like if we're looking at let's put some dates to it, Mykael. Like we say like the 2000s to like the 2010s. No, probably like the 2005 to like the early 2010s. It was like evangelistic, theological, doctrinal music.
Yeah, 100%.
Like almost missional music.
Yeah.
But if you was a tunnel rat, you didn't have, your platform was like kind of like not as big, right?
Yeah, not as big, but you were still, you were still getting crazy.
And then the next wave, I feel like, which we can get into more in a little bit, but like that think about it, like Lecrae and them were putting like sermons of like well-known preachers in the music.
Yeah.
Like preachers, like people were booking them based on like it being, I remember, man, I was in a Christian hip hop group, don't look it up. And every time we go, this is interesting, because sometimes I feel like people who are not fans of hip hop but fans of Christian music.
There we go, back to what we were saying.
Yeah, and every time we go to these like camps, this is like 2011 era, like so right in that time frame, and they'd be like, "Yo, man, we just really love Christian rap. It's so theologically sound. You guys are so." And in my head, I ain't gonna lie, as a black man in these predominantly white spaces, in my head, I kind of felt like, "What you mean is you're a well-spoken black man." You know?
Yeah, nah.
Is that what you? I felt like that's what my brain. And I remember I was like 22 at the time. I didn't have like the courage or confidence to really navigate those spaces now. But in my head, I was thinking, oh, what you really mean is y'all know how to read and write. Y'all safe. Y'all the smart Negroes. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, this is so crazy.
Am I tripping though?
No. I mean, you're not.
It's like that was the perception that,
but
these
that's
guys,
when the shift happened though. I feel like when they was like, oh, nah, y'all just like us because we fit within the mold you want. And now we don't like that no more. We want to grow. I think that, but like that's another thing. Even with the old Reach fans or fans, even artists and write stuff like that, I'm just like, yo, like, to me, it don't matter, bro. Like, I feel like the space is big enough that people can do what they want creatively, in the sense of, I don't mean like, hey, do whatever you want, curse. I'm not saying all that.
Right.
I'm saying like creatively, you can do the Christian rapper who's Christian, whatever way you sway, don't matter. I feel like everybody can do that. I don't know why everybody wants to do we need to be explicitly Christian. Like, yo, I'm gonna say something mad controversial. Mykael, my view is, I don't view music as my ministry. I don't look at this like this is the avenue in which God needs me to speak to people. I look at my life like that. My personal, like the way we talk.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. That's my ministry.
For sure.
My music is an outpouring of the things that I love. Which is Christ, which is all these things. I'm not saying people that are ministry minded are bad or that's not a good thing, but I'm saying like, if that's you, let that be you. Those people oftentimes be like, y'all not doing it right. That's like, true. This is the way it's supposed to be done. It's like, no, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, no names, can be explicitly Christian, and then the next day they're like, I don't believe in God no more. And it's like, but they checked your box of being explicitly Christian in the music. So they're good, but their life didn't match.
That's good,
so what good was it that they were explicitly Christian? You know what I'm saying? I would much rather have a nuanced music and live live the life God has called me to, and do the music that God's called me to do. And to you, it might look like, not you, but to you, the people, it might look like they're not Christian enough. It's like, yo, God called me to do this. God called you to do something else.
I think that's dope. And I think we can get back into this more, but the dope thing about what you're saying is like, me and you have differences on this subject in terms of how not differences on right or wrong.
Yeah.
Differences in terms of expression.
For 100%.
Like I love making like content and art that's like clear.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Dope. I think the beauty in what we're saying is that brothers can live in harmony.
Yeah, there's room
with
for everybody.
Different expressions.
Yeah.
So our differences is more so in our approach, but not in our
content
or
heart
or heart. And I think what you were kind of harking back to with like the tunnel rats and cross movement thing, which was there was differences and but that created division.
Yeah.
I think that the differences should inspire harmony.
Yeah.
Because now you're playing a different role in this mission. I'm playing a different role. And by these different roles, we're all kind of galvanizing people to see the Lord through the art and bless people. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what we talking about is that.
It's the same thing. It's just different strokes for different folks.
Man, I think we'll put a pin right there, man. Definitely, we're going to get back into this more in the next segment. This is the 116 Life Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris. This is my man,
DJ Mykael V.
And we'll be right back after this break. Tap in soon. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio. I am your host, Ace Harris. This is my man,
DJ Mykael V.
And we're on Sirius Channel 154. Tap in every Tuesday, 8 p.m. It's going crazy. And we had a cool segment on the break, but I wanted to keep this conversation going. You know, the 116 Life, faith, music, and culture. And we're talking about specifically the content in Christian hip hop from its early inception to its transition, like from to now, and where we think it's going to go in the future. And we kind of gave a backstory about how we felt like some of the early, and this is not to pigeonhole. Here's the thing. I don't know all the Christian hip hop history. There's some people out here who are probably going to hear me speak
Connoisseur and be like, you're wrong.
For sure. You know what? I'm sorry if I offended you or left you out. Please forgive. We're going to drop some names here and there.
Yeah.
But by and large, I think we agreed on like the early rise, not the inception of Christian hip hop, but the early rise of it that really took off and started to impact had a certain content style, which was like explicitly kind of missional, doctrinal. It was almost like Bible teaching through hip hop.
It was mission focused.
Which people, can you break that down? What is that?
I think that the level of musical execution didn't matter to people as much as am I biblically sound? Am I glorifying Christ explicitly? And am I leading people to the cross?
Perfect. Well said, bro. So I think that was like the rise from like the 2000s to like the early 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was a shift that happened in the early 2010s. And I want to shout out, OG Lecrae.
Go.
I think that the church closed, I want to go on a limb. I don't want to call him like the only person that started it, but the church closed mixtape series with Don Cannon on it, with Ninth Wonder, with Boy Wonder on it.
Yeah.
I think that project and his kind of commentary was the first of a shift in the content in Christian rap. Like it literally, I mean, what you think about that? Like,
I think him and Sho Baraka were the first two.
Yeah, for sure. Baraka.
Were the first two to really like, all right, yo, like I need to separate from this sect of Christians that are only using me as like a token or are only rocking with me because I believe what they believe, or I'm doing it the way they want me to do it, kind of thing. And I think once they were like, they started talking about the black and brown experience and, like police brutality. And once those things started becoming prevalent in the music, that's when it was like, you're not Christian no more.
Dang, that's a shout out.
Crazy, right?
I remember, man, we got so much there, Mykael. Like, I remember Sho Baraka when he left Reach, actually.
Yeah.
He made a comment that stuck with me to this day. First of all, I think he's like a prophetic voice in a culture.
He's a GOAT.
He is like a legit
solidified. He's like, to me, he's like Black Thought.
Yeah, he's a genius in terms of his prophecy, his speaking, his exhortation. Well accomplished, well seasoned, well versed of and a great rapper too. But he made a comment. He was like, and this is, I'm kind of a pragmatist, so I don't know if I'm that revolutionary.
Yeah.
But I respect him in hindsight. He said, I'm tired of Christian hip hop being used, hijacked as a tool for evangelism.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, that said a lot. Like,
and that's how people view music. Some people.
It's like, this is we're gonna use this thing to book these conferences. And that was like 2011 vibes. And then Lecrae dropped Church Close 1. I know you got in on Gravity.
Yeah.
And you said, like, how was the Gravity album for you content wise? Like was it?
Man, I think that joint helped me a lot, bro.
In what ways?
I think that it gave me perspective, like Man Down and like the joint with what's his name? It's not Bun B. I forget. There's a couple joints on there that I really rock with because of the content.
It was Big Crit.
Yeah,
Big Crit. That joint was hard. I think that was produced by I'm drawing a blank.
Medina? No.
It was a mainstream producer who's done stuff with like Dre M. But
bro.
Dang, that junk was crazy. So
I love that joint, bro. It was more of like Cray at that time was talking more about like, yo, you want to live this life, but this life is better. Like you want to chase the cars, clothes, money, women. that's cool, but at the end of the day, like, you don't have to go home at night and deal with the person you are in the mirror.
I think what's dope, the content, speaking about Christian content, or content and Christian, the content on that album, and that's 2012, it wasn't the same kind of approach and content that was on his like 2000.
Like Rebel.
No, it wasn't.
Lord, kill me if I don't preach the gospel.
With the Bible Blicky.
Bible Blicky, baby.
It wasn't, so there's like a, we're seeing like a real world like evolution of the content. And so that's like 2012. And then I feel like, I mean, there's other artists in this, I don't want to leave nobody out, but I mean, you got like people like, shout out Propaganda. People are like expressing themselves differently where it wasn't the same that it was during like the cross movement era. And nobody's really pushing back, really. I mean, a little people are, but it's like, and then Church Close 2 drops. I want to tell you when things really hit the fan though. When the content got super social justice, not oriented, but aware. Because oriented makes it seem like, yo, we're going to root this whole thing. And people just kind of got, this is like 2014, bro. It's maybe 2012, 2013, Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
And I feel like that incident
that was when
shook up the whole
100%
Christian hip hop audience.
I
like it literally like
agree. It like, divided everybody.
What was your experience during that time? Like what does that mean to you when I say like, yo, the Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman incident, which rest in peace, Trayvon, created like a split in the audience in Christian hip hop. What does that like mean to you?
It really showed me how, I'm gonna just say, it really showed me how much people don't care about us. Genuinely. Because a lot of it was like, shut up and rap. Who are you to speak on stuff like this? Not me, but I'm talking about like observing like
the voices of authority,
like Lecrae and Prop and Sho, and how they were literally like crucified by all these Christians that were fans, and they're like, why would you dare talk about this? You don't know the truth. Like, you know, the typical gaslighting, red hot button pressing they do with the stuff like that whenever something like this happens. But when that happened, there was a big divide. And it wasn't like you choose a side. It was just like, yo, we believe this. Okay, well, we believe this. And it's just like, oh, word, bet we're gonna stay over here then. But that's where I think a lot of the angst came from when it came to like all things work together and like things like that. Like it's just like, yo, like we did this for y'all all these years, and now something is bothering me that happened in a major news story. Like a kid got killed in innocent blood, and I'm saying how this is affecting me, and you're essentially telling me to shut up and just keep rapping about Jesus.
Dang. I mean, it's
nuts, bro.
That's a handful right there. I just want to pause like and acknowledge some of the pain that era brings up in, I guess, all of us who are affected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, the content literally was like shifting. Like it was like,
yeah. And then it kind of became a little bit spiteful. Not spiteful. Spiteful is the wrong word.
Okay.
But then it became a little bit like, now I'm going to talk about this because you're trying to shut me up. But also, I know this is going to make you mad. Like, I know this is going to ruffle feathers. I'm going to talk about this.
Interesting.
Not as a marketing ploy, but as like
you think that was ill-advised?
Not at all. I think that's hip-hop.
Okay, I
think that's hip hop.
Explain what you mean by that.
So like when I look at people like Public Enemy and like A Tribe Called Quest and like The Roots and stuff like that, whenever something major happened and news outlets refused to speak about it, or people were like acting weird about it, or there was a big divide in it, they had a very clear voice on which they stood and how they stood. And at the time, it was very against the grain.
That's true.
But they was like, nah, we're going to stand for the truth and our truth. This is what it is. That's what it felt like with Lecrae and Prop and all them. It was like, oh, y'all feel like that? Let me show you what the gospel really says and how wrong y'all are. But let me do it in a way that is a good rebellious. Like I mean rebellious not in a sinful way, but rebellious in like, this is not the status quo anymore of evangelistic rapping. Now I'm going to tie in the gospel into everyday stories.
That's amazing, bro.
You know?
I'm just kind of processing because there's so much. I'm kind of like, you know, doing some like flashbacks, like,
yeah.
And I don't want to. I probably want to give us some terms. Like what you're saying is, essentially there was like a social justice awakening happening in culture that Christian hip hop artists, Derek Minor, Lecrae, Sho Baraka, Propaganda, we can name more. and the content started to reflect that awakening that was happening in culture in real time.
Yep.
And those like stakeholders in Christian hip hop would then, infuse that content in their music, and it would basically be there was backlash from the audience and supporters. Specifically, let's just call it what it is.
Specifically, the
evangelical church.
Yeah.
And so that content reflected culture. I would say in a way, kind of like this is why hip hop, kind of speaking to the 116 Live faith, music and culture. Hip hop, Christian hip hop, at that time was a voice for the oppressed to the church. It was almost like Christian hip hop led the conversation about social justice and righteousness, social justice and awakening in America to the evangelical church. The conversation was happening in culture,
not in church,
but the church wasn't really.
They were like,
it was people like Lecrae, and they were speaking at these conferences and these large, and the content reflected the times, but it was ill received from the church culture, and that created like a total shift. And then fast forward to content. I think at that point, and this is what things really kind of changed up, man. Like 2016, Trump gets elected. That was like a black exodus, bro, of the church. And the content in Christian hip hop, being a Christian rapper, things definitely changed at that point. In fact, it was almost like people were like, I would even say some of the artists on the Reach, it was like, there was the unashamed approach.
Yeah.
It wasn't like as
loud.
Reimagined. It was reimagined. That was a very nice way to put it. I was being a little critical. I would say it was like, well, you know what? I think it was more like, I'm not ashamed of Jesus, but I'm ashamed of being associated with that, y'all's version of Jesus and how it's being portrayed in culture.
Yeah.
So there was like a clear separation, bro. And that spawned a whole new era, bro. Like, I mean.
That's what I meant by the GOAT. Because you said 2016.
Oh,
and then you said Trump was elected. And I was like, the GOAT. And now I meant like, I thought you were going to say 2016 was like a great year for Christian hip hop. Because it was.
I mean, it was it was a great year. I mean, I don't know. Would I say it was a great year?
I think it was cool. I think 2016 for the like regular music, like regular secular music, was one of the best years ever. It was
good, but okay. I just feel like when Trump's election created like a natural divide, like a sincere split in the Christian, like it.
Something I'm gonna tell my kids about.
It was like, very people don't talk about this. It was like, but people leave. There were like people leaving churches, and then so if you were a Christian hip hop artist who happened to be black, or if you had, spoke to social justice issues, your content was more diverse, not just what it was in the early 2010s and just being explicitly missional. People were just uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I think that moment, bro, forever is like a drop in Christian hip hop history. Like people, like it literally changed the way people communicated, who they communicated to, what bookings they took, who they spoke in front of, and
it made them more conscious on things.
Yeah, it was like I mean I remember hearing some people saying like,
I would say it was like an awakening.
Yeah, it was awake. It was like that was like an awakening period.
I mean, wake up.
I feel like Andy even spoke about it to me. Like he was like that moment changed him, and it was almost like, it was just almost like it birthed a new class of Christian hip hop artists from that era,
100%,
who communicated completely different than the cross movements era, the early Reach stuff, and it's just like, and here we are. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like. Do you feel like there were some missteps from the pioneers that wanted to be more inclusive, to speak about other issues? Do you think there were some missteps in how it was communicated? Like, if so, what were some of those missteps?
I think Andy saying Christian hip hop is corny was like one of the worst moments ever. Top 5.
You told me this personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was like, doesn't make. Well, I don't know why you would do that. You're just pooping on us for no reason at the time.
Yeah.
And then like Lecrae doing not the same thing, but the same thing. It was just like, he didn't say it, but he did it. Like it was very much visible that, and he says it to this day. He's like, oh yeah, I was trying to go mainstream and try to bring this to the world. And then he always tells a story where it's like, but the world didn't really want me. Like it don't matter what.
Yeah.
It don't matter how hard we try. even if we're great, they're not gonna rock with us because of what the message we have.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But I think the misstep was in the approach. I think the misstep was in the sometimes when they had big eyes on them, I feel like they dropped the ball a little bit. When it mattered. I feel like it was like, dang, you fumbled on the 1 yard line. It was like, yo, it was a 100-yard run. Yo, great run. You fumbled on the 1 yard line. You know?
Dang, they didn't score the touchdown on that.
Nah, but I mean, they admitted to yo, yeah, I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I hear where you're coming from. I definitely feel like there could have been some things done better, but it did spark a change, and I feel like even we could talk about this on the next segment, but things, like you said, music is like fashion. Like things go back in cycles.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So we're definitely going to get it back into it on the break. So this is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I'm your host, Ace Harris. This is my man,
DJ Mykael V.
And we talking about the content in Christian hip-hop through the years. Stay tuned for the next episode. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I am your host, Ace Harris. This is my man,
DJ Mykael V.
What's up, man? How you feeling, dog?
I'm good, bro. I'm loving the conversation. This conversation
is definitely fresh, and a lot of history, a lot of like nostalgia.
Yeah. It just shows you how, like I said, it's like fashion. It just keeps going. The conversation, bro. The conversation we're having, people have had throughout the years about this.
It's nothing relatively new.
Yeah,
but I think it's good to stop and pause to see what things were, what they're changing into, and what they kind of are now, and where things are going. Trajectory, yeah. And I feel like talking about the state of content in Christian hip hop, let's just go ahead. I think me and you probably sit on different ends of the spectrum. Like,
100%.
I mean, I have this vision from the Lord, right? And I don't want to get all spiritual on y'all, but I actually want to see an explicitly Christian hip hop and or Christian song, not just Christian hip hop song that's like references Jesus, go like at least like top 10 in culture. Like I definitely want to like
shout out Hovey, the chosen one.
Hey man, we'll see. Because I feel like there is room for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like people who have different backgrounds and faiths can still appreciate a good song singing about a God they don't even necessarily believe in.
Yeah.
But that can plant a seed to increase belief. But I mean, talking about the content, and we talked about where things were explicit, social justice, less explicit, implicit, storytelling. And I feel like right now it's interesting, bro. Like things are kind of circled back. I mean, what do you think about the state of content right now in like Christian hip, like by and large? Not necessarily your leanings, but what do you feel like you see like right now, 2023?
I think we have a great variety of content. I think that there are a few artists and like little cliques that are running that are very explicitly Christian. They're doing great. I think there's people that are doing the nuanced conversation, life music that involves Jesus and points to Christ. I think they're doing great. I think there's somewhat of a harmony, but I also think that people are trying to like, I don't want to say I don't think they're trying to cause division.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that.
All right.
But I do think that they're like, this is the way it needs to be done. And if it's not done this way, then it's wrong. And that is wrong.
I would agree with that. There is let's get into the specifics. Like right now, there's a lot of Christian hip hop that is actually commercially successful right now. That is like, I mean, clear, explicit Jesus references, Bible verses, TikTok, visually like it's like it's having commercial impact.
Yep.
And I feel like some of this expression was not embraced maybe 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because of whatever transition that Christian hip hop went through, it was perceived like corny.
Yeah.
It was. Am I tripping?
It was.
Like some of the stuff that's working in the content now, 5-6 years ago.
Wouldn't have worked in like
2015, 2017.
No, I agree. That's time though.
But I feel like there is, let's talk about people like Alex John, Caleb Gordon, Hovies, Wandays, even 1K Fuse to an extent. Like there's like an expression in the content where it's like, I'm Christian, I'm rapping about God, I'm rapping about loving God, I'm calling myself a Christian rapper, I'm putting that in the music and I'm putting it out there, and I'm not scared of being called corny. Like I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that wasn't the trend. I hate to call it a trend, but that's not that wasn't
call
like
what it is.
That wasn't the trend like 5-6 years ago. Why do you think that's happening?
I think that there's been a resurgence and a more of a desire for explicitly Christian music.
Why?
A market for that. You know, I think it just, to be real with you, I think it just started with TikTok, if I'm being honest. I say that because
I feel you.
When I saw a lot of people going viral on TikTok for like the explicit Christian stuff, like people are like, oh, we've been missing this. Like, I wish that XYZ would do this. I wish,
like calling back to some of their favorite artists.
Yeah, like this is why I fell in love with it, like because of this. And I feel like they were bringing people who had left for that reason back. Leaving in the sense of like, this isn't explicitly Christian, or this isn't ministering to me, or this isn't whatever. Those people that left back in like 2013, 14, 15, 16, whatever.
Right.
Coming back.
They're coming back.
And I think people just missed that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think those voices for a minute were kind of not there in the sense of marketability. I'm not saying because people love coming at me.
Nice.
Yeah, because some people love coming at me. They're like, nah, but this person was doing it, but like that person.
So the person, Mykael he gives them the A&R shrug, like, yo, I mean, come on.
Stop it. But
tracks wag,
yeah, like
wag.
it's
so it got to be dope, essentially.
Yeah, it had to be dope.
So you feel like, okay, I wonder if...
I feel like there's a great balance. I think now, I think explicitly Christian music back then was few and far between, and the majority was whack. And there was a small tidbit that was actually dope, that was like kind of trying to figure out how to be what they are now, like how to be what the sound is now, which is just people that are commercially fire and are explicitly Christian. They found a great balance.
I think that's a lot. I think you're dropping some gem. I mean, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of diversity right now.
Yeah.
And there is some division on how things should be done, whether wrong or right, good or bad.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you want to hear explicit Christian rap, it's out there. If you want to hear more implicit storytelling, it's out there. It's like a variety. I feel like the name of the game should be authentic to who God called you to be.
Yeah, like don't try to be a thing. Like if you really want to make music like that, make music like that. Don't make music like that because it's like, this is gonna sound good, or I should say this. Like make music that the Lord is calling you to make, that you feel comfortable and you feel like this is where I need to be. Because the Lord don't got no big deal where the Lord has John Keefe. And the Lord don't got John Keefe where the Lord has Alex Jean and vice versa.
That's fact.
It's so many different things and different places. Like the world is so big, this genre is so big. I say in quotations because it's not that big, but it's big enough now to where there's so many different like perspectives and how people approach music. You can pick what you want. Like I am RSQ. Right?
I know. Boy,
like, and
these artists with these syllables these days, but these consonants.
Yeah, like, and it's like Sarah Jers and like all these different people.
You're
like, there's Christian hyperpop, bro. There's so many different things you can listen to that if you like it, you can listen to it. But not everybody has the same approach, and I think that's great.
So somebody had a comment that I want to get your opinion on. Speaking of content, and they were like, yes, there is a wave of like younger artists being explicit with it, having moments, having viral impact, commercial viability. And they said that it's explicitly Christian, but they were saying it's biblically shallow. Thoughts on that? Like,
who said that?
I don't want to get no names, bro.
I'm not saying who, but I'm saying I've never.
It was an older person.
Yeah, I've never seen biblically shallow. I mean, I don't.
Like almost like, okay, so the explicit Christian rap now versus like cross move, it's like a different type.
Oh yeah, for sure,
it's a different type of expression.
But that's what I was saying. Like it's like now they've perfected, or they've come close to perfecting great product music, marketability, great sounding music with good theology and good messaging, and explicitly speaking about Christ. I feel like back then it was like, we don't care about all that. We just care about talking about the Lord,
the mission,
as opposed to now we're like, yo, does this sound good?
But I mean, I'm saying like some people I feel like are poking holes in it being, you're saying Christian themes through the song, but it's like not necessarily theologically sturdy.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, man, look, So here's what me and Mykael are trying to say to y'all for real. I ain't trying to be the content police for real.
Yeah, I don't. If the song is good, the song is good.
But I do want to fight for authenticity.
Yeah, I also want to fight for that too, and I also want to fight for if that's actually you, like how you say, like authenticity. Is that really you? Like, are you really?
Yeah.
Are you trying to check a box, or are you actually like that?
So do you feel like an artist could be explicit for the wrong reason too?
100%.
Give me an example. Like what does that look like?
I think people can be explicit for the sake of there's a certain audience that they want to like.
Right.
I guess tickle their fancy. It's like, yo, like, I'm gonna explicitly talk about this because I know it works.
Dang. Talk about
Some people don't want to take risks.
Talk about that. So when you say talk about, you mean like add Jesus to the record?
Yeah, like so I think some people, or they'll just do explicitly, like I said, explicitly Christian music. That's very like, I don't want to say this, but like youth group music, you know?
Oh man, don't get us canceled.
Yeah, like youth group music, which is cool.
I have a thought too, man. Like I mean, we've seen it, and we're not here to criticize.
Not at all.
But just to call out.
This is not criticism at all.
There is such a thing called the evangelical industry.
Yes.
And it seems like when you talk about content in Christian rap, maybe there is a benefit to engaging that industry, getting booked more if you insert certain themes or things in your music, because there's the utility for your songs can basically, be a part of that industry. I mean, my wrestle is like when people are doing it for the bookings.
Yes. You're
doing it. I need to be on Christian radio. Let me put this on here. I'm like, I kind of cringe at that, man. Like, because I feel like the heart behind it is not. It's not there. It's not there.
I know a lot of people like that, bro. I'm not saying no names. I'm not gonna allude to anything, but I know a lot of people in this industry that do that. They make the Christian music to get on the Christian radio, to do the Christian festivals, to do the Christian tours. But I don't respect it. And these people that I'm thinking of, they know I don't respect it. I don't applaud it. It doesn't. I don't. You don't get a good job from me. Like it's because it's not you. 'Cause I know how you really are. And I've seen people go from really creatively dope and like pushing boundaries to then going someplace on that end of things and really pandering to that crowd for the sake of money, status in the sense of these people are gonna like me. I'll get these bookings and I'll be on Winter Jam and I'll be on.
You said it. You said it first.
I'll be on the CCM magazine or I'll be whatever. You get no respect from me. You get no hat tip. Like that. That's really not at all. I don't respect that at all. Especially if you were dope before. And now you're like, you know what I'm saying, doing all these crazy. Nah, I'm not with it. I'm not with it at all.
Dang, I mean,
I'm cutthroat with that. I'm very cutthroat.
I'm a little bit more nuanced.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not. Because here's the thing. And I don't like people that do that because they lack authenticity, because in their real life is vastly different than the CCM Christian music that they're making or hybrid that they're making. And I'm like, I know how you are behind closed doors, and I know what you're presenting to people, and those are two extremely different things. And that's where you lose me, Mykael, as a person. I don't like that. I'd rather you authentically be you and not pander to an audience for the sake of either I've done this for so long, I don't. If I switch now, it'll be a harder journey, or I've done this for so long, I don't need to switch. I know how to do this. I'm a one-trick pony. Every time I do this one thing, we're lit. Like the bills get paid. Cool. Don't respect you.
Dang. Again, we're on different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, like we're very, very much so. But
I feel like there is, speaking of content, what is the heart behind it? I mean, that's not the best way I would advise, to move. And there are certain people like where, sometimes, the industry at large can influence your art. I'm gonna be honest. It is what it is. And so I think the wrestle is if it's art and commerce or authenticity versus, authenticity versus pandering. Pandering, which is a bad word to use in this context, but I think we should always be leaning for the authentic.
Authentic, yeah, I agree.
And in that there are moments, Mykael, where the content has strategy for a bigger mission at large, where I think there's grace to lean into that bigger strategy. there's spaces where you can be like, man, this feature makes sense on this song because it gets my message on this verse, and my other songs, my albums,
that
have a bigger
I
audience.
understand.
So I get the building blocks of the strategy, as long as it's not like so clear cut. I'm changing my content to get this bag, and that's my only means. And I'm like, that's my only end. I'm like, I think that we got to be careful about that. You know what I'm saying?
I think for me is if I know a person is like a church clothes Lecrae and they're making a God is enough, and I know that they're not like that, and you're only making the God is enough-esque music. I'm not pooping on that song. I'm saying like that.
Yes,
like,
you are.
Like,
Yes, you are.
I am. Lecrae, I love you. Like this is not your sound, and you're only doing this because it works. I don't rock with that.
I feel it. I mean,
That idea.
That's an extreme case. So
Yes.
we can put that there.
Yes.
All I am inviting you to enter into is a little bit of nuance and the bigger mission
Yeah.
and strategy. But at the end of the day, I think content is content.
Yeah.
Let it be authentic to who you are.
Yeah.
It has evolved over the years, and I hope that with all the many dope artists that we have in this space, that we can allow people to express themselves authentically.
Yeah.
The way that God wants to work through them. And yeah, whether explicit, implicit, storytelling, theological, narrative, don't really matter. Make it dope, make it authentic to you, and build the kingdom, bro.
Amen.
All right, that's it, man. 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 154. I am your host, Ace Harris. This is my man,
DJ Mykael V.
We gonna be back soon, and we gonna get some. I already know the comments. We already get some pushback.
I don't care.
He doesn't care.
care less.
I'm a little more nuanced.
Don't care. Still don't care.
No hair, don't care. All right, later. Just kidding. Tap in later.